You know those movies where, you know, pretty much any movie out there pretty much has a happy ending of some sort, whether it be an evil movie or a scary movie or a comedy or a drama. It has a happy ending. Or even a TV show. A TV show has a happy ending at most end of the episode. Something good happens, or there's something that plays out to the advantage of the protagonist or whatever you call them in the show. This show does not have a happy ending at all. None. What is up, YouTube? How's everybody out there doing today? I hope you guys are having a fabulous freaking day. As you can tell, we have the Cobalt behind us on the left. And per our last video, you know that the Cobalt, the Duramax, and almost the GTP were all broken down, which almost left me and Zach with just the Trans Am to be able to drive the Firebird Formula Ghost, which we definitely don't want to do because it's not a good street-driven car at all, which wouldn't help us. So obviously we have to get the Cobalt fixed. The GTP, obviously per the last video, as you guys can see, is running superb. It's running great. If we have any more issues with that, I'm sure we're just going to tackle it and fix it as well. But you definitely got to get a fuel pump in this Cobalt and get that back on the road. So we have two vehicles again. And then we're going to worry about the Duramax. I know you guys are not happy about seeing this thing down, but you know how it is. 500,000 miles, 20 plus years old or 20 years old here. And you got to understand, things like this, they're going to break. They're not going to last. Things are going to break, wiring's going to chafe and break and just, you know, have all kinds of issues. And you just kind of got to repair it as you go to keep them running. You got to maintenance them. There's no, you know, this ain't like a brand new truck where you can just buy a, you know, brand new truck and it just runs forever and ever and ever with no issues. You're going to start having issues with it. But let's get back to the Cobalt here. Basically, we have it up on the lift right now. And we can see our gas tank is back here. Now, I've watched a lot of videos about doing this job, and I've done fuel pumps in the past, no big deal, but nobody really did an explanational video, a long, good video about how to pull the gas tank out and how to get to the pump and all that stuff. We're going to do that, and we have a little special treat, kind of. I guess you would call it a special treat, I don't know, but for this setup as well. So as you can see, we have all of our lines, our fuel lines. We got to disconnect all those, disconnect our fuel pump plug setup up here, and obviously disconnect our fill plug for the fuel as well. We got to get that, you know, taken care of and off. And then at that point, we can hopefully unbolt these straps without breaking the nuts off of them. Right there and right there. And squeeze this gas tank out. Now, the sucky part is this is full of gas right now, because Zach actually filled it up before it, you know, took a dump. And go figure, everything takes a dump after you. Well, fuel pumps usually take a dump after you fill them up with fuel, fill the gas tank up, so you always have to deal with a full tank. So let's start tearing things apart and get this fuel tank out, guys. All right, guys, so as you can see, the fuel filter hoses are off. You're gonna need to disconnect these evap hose as well. That needs to come off. And then a breather tube hose that needs to come off as well. Wiring harness needs to come off. You're going to have two plugs on your evap canister and two plugs on your body section here. The bottom one doesn't need to be coming out at all. I would also recommend that if you have an exhaust on it, to disconnect it and lower it down. And as you can see right here, this definitely gives me a lot more space to be able to drop this gas tank out okay and not have to finagle it or have any issues with it or anything of that nature. So highly recommend dropping the exhaust down or taking it off if you prefer to go that route in order to get this gas tank out a little bit easier. All right, so once your filler neck is off, then you obviously have your 4 bolts right there that are looking rusty as all hell. Then you have to get out. Now, obviously you need to put a training jack underneath it here or something to hold it up in place before you take those straps off, because if you don't, you're gonna have an issue that needs a very big tissue. So let's get these straps off, and then we're gonna go ahead and start lowering down the gas tank. All right, so got the gas tank out. Everything looks really nice up here. We've got a little bit of rust, Nothing too crazy. I would suggest if you have any rust in this area to spray paint it, and that's probably what I'm going to end up doing. Put a little bit of coating on it. That way it doesn't rust anymore since it's all open now to do so. But here she is on the ground. And here is the fuel pump. Obviously you have your little ring. You have to get that off first. Very easy to do. Oh, getting fuel all over me. Look at that. Happy. And then here's your fuel pump. Get this out of here somehow, some way. All right, a little finessing, and she will come right on out. And there you go. This is basically your fuel pump bucket right here, guys. Your fuel pump is inside this bucket. I'm hoping I can take this bucket apart and put a 450 pump in this thing. I don't know if I can. I'm hoping I can. We're gonna try to take it apart and see what we can do. And we'll be right back and show you what's going on here. All right, guys. So the original plan for the Cobalt was to just put a 255 pump in, or one of my 450s out of my Trans Am. Unfortunately, upon removing the fuel pump from the housing, I'm gonna show you the housing over here actually, I discovered it's not gonna work, or there is some modifications that need to be made. And unfortunately, a 450 is just not gonna cut it. At least by what I can see. But here is the stock pump right here. It just doesn't look like it's going to be long enough to do what I need to do. If I were, or say for example, I put a 250 in, the 250 I think is longer than this, and it has to be some modifications made to it, which I'll be honest, I just don't have. I don't have the patience or the time right now to be dealing with all that crap. I just need to get it done and move on to other things, like, you know, a freaking truck over there. But I just ended up getting a CarQuest fuel pump setup. It actually came entirely composed of the bucket and everything, and lines and all, and plug and play basically. So that's all together now. And unfortunately I'm here by myself. Connor left, and I have to lift this thing full of fuel, about halfway full of fuel, up onto my jack here to be able to put this damn thing back in, which is gonna be freaking fun. So let's get that in and start hooking up all these lines, and hopefully this solves our fuel pump issue on the Cobalt, and we are back to having two vehicles again, which it's not fun not having two vehicles. So let's get that tank in, guys. Well, guys, got the fuel pump in, fuel tanks in, all that fun jazz. As you can tell by my attitude, we've got some bad news. Exhaust is still hanging, which I'm gonna put up tomorrow. But yeah, I'm just gonna show you. I'm just gonna show you. Now, mind you, when we had the car towed, okay, when we had the car towed here, for Connor towing it here, remind you that it did not have fuel pressure. We did turn the key on and check fuel pressure, and there was none. It didn't have anything coming out of the rail at all. But here we go. This is what it's doing. So you're probably thinking, wow, is your fuel pump working? Yeah, well, it's working. Because I'll tell you right now, there is fuel pressure now. We got fuel pressure now. Maybe it's just dumb luck. Maybe it's just dumb luck. I don't know. But I decided, you know what? I'm going to take my scanner and put the scanner on the Cobalt and see what maybe codes are popping up. Maybe a code will pop up or something. Now, mind you, when I checked codes before, when it was dropped off, there was nothing on it. No codes whatsoever. Codes were good to go. I was like, oh, freaking awesome. But I also wasn't sitting here cranking the shit out of it either. We just pretty much had shut off for Zach, and I had Connor go get it and tow it back here, and that was the end of that. We kind of figured, oh, well, there's no fuel pressure. That means fuel pump bad. So we got another fuel pump, put it in, and it still doesn't want to fire up. After cranking it so freaking long, guess what code came up? P0336, crank case positioning sensor. That's what came up. Now, if you remember, a couple months back, we replaced the crank sensor with a non-OE one, mind you. I'm learning my lesson here, guys. I am learning my lesson with non-OEM parts on Chevys and GMCs. I really, really am. And this one was a non-OEM part, and it popped up again, which means it's somehow, some way it failed. It failed, I don't know how, I don't know why. Maybe it's just a piece of junk, maybe I just got a dud, but the crank sensor positioning, or crank positioning sensor is dunzo. It's freaking dunzo. So, oh my God, my brain hurts, guys. I'm not even lying, my brain freaking hurts right now. I got too many vehicles down, too much work to get done, and I'm gonna be driving the Trans Am home tonight. Thank God it's not gonna rain. That's the only car left running. That and the GTP, thank God. But yeah, that's what's going on now. So I'm not gonna have a crank sensor until tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock for this car. I'm not gonna have a crank sensor at all. Not at all for this car until tomorrow at 4 p.m. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. But there you go. Not a happy ending, a very sad ending, a very disappointing ending to the video. Very frustrating. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I'm a little stressed out. I need to go have a beer or something. I've got my stupid Duramax that's giving me issues. Now I got this thing that's giving me issues. And it's just pain in my ass, and I have to have a vehicle to drive. So I guess tomorrow I'm just gonna, you know, do some work here until the crank sensor comes for this thing, stick it in, and that better solve my problem, or I'm going to light a match and burn everything to the ground. I don't know, guys, I don't know. But there you go, guys. Sorry it wasn't the video you were expecting. Unfortunately, things like this happen, and you know, a lot of times people don't show you the bad part of what happens. A lot of times people are just like, oh, magically fixed, after they did all this other bullshit that they don't want to tell you about. It's like, yeah, it was definitely this that fixed it, when that's not the case. At least I'm showing you guys the turmoil of disappointment in my life right now with how cars are not working out for me. But we're gonna end the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content. We have a whole bunch of broke down vehicles, so you're definitely gonna be having a lot of content, believe you me. And other than that, guys, deuces.